2 races to go. We're on race number 8 and the draw. For strangely, not my first original instincts out on this. I've got to be honest. If you remember last year, I know I was one of the people. I couldn't back Gentle Donna because of the jockey, and I said when he comes to this track, he's not. It's too. You're against the best jockeys in the world. Then they've put, in my opinion, the best jockey in the world, and I love Ryan Moore. It's open about it. I think he's a marvellous jockey. Drawn 12 could hurt. It could hurt a lot.
She covered 9 meters more than St. Nicholas Abbey last year, which is less than her margin of victory, or defeat, rather.
To be honest, I mean, I ended up backing St. Nicholas Abbey, and I couldn't see him being beat on the day. I got more and more confident as the day went on that he was going to be a winner.
I tipped Gentle Donna, and I knew probably 6 furlongs out that it wasn't looking good.
But it was one of the things we'd said in the podcast. We were worried about the jockey, getting the right position. And it is, if you travel 3 wide the whole way, it's hard to win from there. Being drawn 13 isn't going to help. One of the things about this race, I think this could be a proper pace race. I think I heard you sort of talking to people earlier and saying that that O'Brien's putting a pacemaker in. Is that something you're convinced about, or is it something you've heard?
No, I'm convinced, based solely on the entry here of this horse, a 4th-time starter with Shamie Heffernan. To me, if this race was in Ireland, you'd look down and you'd say it's a pacemaker.
Yeah.
I know we're in Dubai. O'Brien has a history of using pacemakers in Dubai, too. He did it with Await the Dawn back in the Duty Free. Await the Dawn finished distanced in the Duty Free a couple of years ago.
If I'm not mistaken, and this is the query for me, didn't they have festive cheer in the Derby, the UK Derby, the Epsom Derby, to slow the pace down?
Really? I don't recall.
Ruler of the World won the race, and if you remember, there was a very well-fancied Godolphin horse.
Dawn Approach.
That's it, Dawn Approach, who needed some kind of pace. And there was this big field thinking that O'Brien was going to put this horse in as a pacemaker to make it a scorching pace to stop the mile specialist, which was Dawn Approach. But what they did is slowed the pace down. I was at the Derby that day, and they slowed the pace down. And there was 3 horses in that race that are in this race. It was Festive Cheer, Ruler of the World, and Mars. As much as I rate Richard Hughes, I think Richard Hughes got it slightly wrong that day. It was a little bit too far back on Mars, who's since been sold to Mike the Cock stable. Where Ruler of the World sat there lovely, very good ride. And obviously the mile horse, the pace was too slow for him, so was pulling off a bridle, and his race was finished within 2 furlongs. Dawn Approach was done and dusted. So when I saw Festive Cheer in myself, are they putting it in to speed it up?
I think
slow it down.
Well, first off, there is no pacing it. On paper, there's no
paper,
pace.
yeah.
Even though Festive Cheer doesn't normally go forward, there's not a bunch of speed here. Festive Cheer goes forward because I think he's going to. Twilight Eclipse, the American, is going to go forward. Frankly, I think that's his only chance.
Yeah.
You take that combined with the fact that we know that Magician, when he won the Breeders' Cup, settled way out the back. Yeah. To me, Festive Cheer becomes a pacemaker because Magician is in this race. So when that happens, I'm looking for someone that is also going to come from the back, although I don't really fancy Magician. Again, I think he's a horse who has a much brighter future ahead of him than what is facing him right now.
I have also heard that he's not 100%.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is. It's there's no factual basis to that. It's just a rumour I'd heard. And around the track you hear hundreds of little
rumours at the race course.
Yeah. There's a few knocking around. It might not be true, but that puts me off him a little bit. But
So the horse that is going to pick up the running, to me, is number 3, Denim and Ruby. She settles way out the back, and I'm telling you, there are just sometimes races where you say, there's no way that horse wins.
Yeah.
And she's 12 lengths last with 300 to run.
Precipice every year.
Presvis, yeah, similarly. Denim and Ruby is that horse.
I'm going to throw a strange one into the mix. I've watched his races with great interest this year, and the one thing I think Meandre has not had is a real good pace.
He hasn't had a draw.
Well, he's had no draws whatsoever. I mean, before the race, you might as well give him 15 or 16. But if you watch how he travels in a race, I think on Super Saturday, I was standing very close to Doug Watson, and I started screaming at Pat Dobbs about 3 out to kick. Just get him going. He doesn't have a massive turn of foot. He's not one of those that explodes, but he lengthens well at the end. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, kick now, because he's sitting there with so much horse. I think if they go a big pace, and if this horse is in as a pacemaker, it will so suit that horse because he can ride closer.
Yeah.
As the pace gets faster, it's great for him, and then lengthen out, and he'll be difficult.
I think
to beat.
he has a big one in him. I do, and he covered 14 meters more than the first three in the last race. He's covered a lot of extra ground all carnival. He's in with a chance. Real outsider shot for Dub Day, who's in the best form of his life, and Qatar was third in this race last year.
Well, I mean, it's one of those races that, you know, still in the back of my head. I'm trying to think, who will I pick? I like Gentle Donna with Ryan on board, and I think she was unlucky last year. It's not an easy one for me. I'll let you go first.
Denim and Ruby.
You're going to
from
go
Stone Last.
You'll go Denim and Ruby. I'm going to go Gentle Donna just because it's in my head, but I'm also going to say, play-wise, I'm more likely to put the money down on Meandre each way. And obviously, Doug Watson's a big friend of ours, and you know, I'd love to see him win a race on the night, and this wouldn't be a bad one.
Things
to
could
up.
go such that Doug has a big night. It's possible.
I think he's going to have a lot of checks on the night. But I'll say Gentle Donna, Meandre to place.